Welcome back to the channel. I'm Hank Strange. This is Stranger Palooza. We're hanging out with Josh of Coachmen Class B. All right, and we've already done this. We've done a comparison here at Coachmen. We're in Indiana. We're in Middlebury, and we did a comparison. If you guys haven't seen it, it's on the channel already, of the 3 different chassis that Coachmen has in Class B. Right? Obviously, we're standing right next to the Transit, which you guys call Beyond.
Yep.
Okay, and then next to it is the Nova, which is a Dodge ProMaster, and then after that is the Mercedes Sprinter.
Yes, sir.
So this is Nova, and that's Galleria.
Yep, and we're going to take a test drive, and we're going to start with the Dodge, then we're going to move over to the Mercedes, and then come back and take the Beyond.
Yes, so we're driving. What is it like to drive the 3 chassis, specifically, you know, I mean, this is the Coachmen that we're driving, but at the end of the day, the chassis themselves are from these different companies, right?
Correct. So they're all going to have a little bit of a different feel to it as you go down the road.
Absolutely. So we're going to get into it. We're going to start out with the Nova, then we're going to go to the Galleria, and then we're going to come back and do the Transit because that's what I'm driving.
You're used to it.
All the time. Yeah. So let's start with the Nova. Let's get into it right now. Starting with the Ram ProMaster chassis here. So let's just like talk a little bit about the specs of it before we jump into it. What can you tell us about this?
So this is going to be a 3.6 liter V6.
No turbo.
No turbo.
Okay.
It's front wheel drive. It's got a 6-speed transmission. It's great in and out, bouncing around town vehicle. Very nimble, easy to get around, and I think you'll see a major difference between the Transit and the ProMaster.
Yeah, and I could tell you like 280 horsepower is actually more than, there's a lot of Sprinters out there that actually don't have 280 horsepower. I think Sprinters are all less than 200 horsepower. Depending on which one it is.
Yeah,
I think some of the bigger ones go a little bit bigger, yeah.
I'd have to look at the specs.
Yeah, so we'll see. I know I've driven like the shorter Sprinters, and they're like less than 200 horsepower.
The Sprinter's going to have a little more torque too. It's a diesel motor.
What do you think about driving this? You drive all of these things all the time. What do you think about this before we get in? And then I'll say what I think while we're driving.
I think it's very easy to get around campus on. I've never really taken it out on the streets to camp in myself, but it is very easy and nimble to move around campus on.
All right.
Between this and the Transit, which I jump into when I'm driving, if I want to go somewhere out here.
And you notice it has the gas thing here too. I think it opens over here. So it's got that. Let's do this.
See, this is actually a 2020 chassis, 22 build.
Okay.
So on some of these new chassis, not this one, you'll see an upgraded screen, you'll see an upgraded rear view camera, and some other driving features going down the road like blind spot monitoring, parking assistance, rear view backup assistance.
Okay. So typically in the 2022s it would be a 21, but I know that there's been some production delays. So that's why that's happening now. So for folks out there buying them, if you want to see that cool mirror thing and all that, you'll have to make sure you get a 21 chassis, right? You get several keys. Looks like about 4 keys here. This is at least a remote to open it, and these are full-fledged keys. Pops out like that. There's no push button.
Not a push button.
No push to start.
No push to start.
So there we go. We've got that up. I'll close the windows here. All right, so I'll adjust my mirrors and everything, and we will get going here. So just before we even start driving, I think this position feels good. I personally would like if I could maybe get back a little bit more, just because my legs are a little bit longer.
Yeah. But
I feel good here. So I'm going to adjust my mirrors and everything, and we'll go for a drive.
talking about leg space, and for taller people, that's probably the biggest combat we have in this chassis, is that in the driver's seat there's not as much room as there is in the Transit or the Galleria.
Yeah.
For the passenger, there's tons of room. I'm 6 feet tall, and I still have plenty of space between my knee and the dash. We can just pull through the campground and come back out. We'll pull back out and stay with 13.
Yeah. So one of the things I did notice as we're driving here is that, or even before we started driving, I noticed that these mirrors are powered. So not just the upper mirror, of course, which will be powered, and that's great. But the control here, if you turn it down, the down part is the lower mirrors, these little outside mirrors, and you can actually adjust them. So if I turn it over to that one, I could actually adjust this like that. That's cool. So that's for the blind spot, and I could adjust it on both sides. So that's actually a plus over the Transit. I could tell you guys right now, because I don't think I could do that in the Transit. Maybe.
Yeah, like
maybe I can, but I don't know. Yeah. And then the other thing I like is this almost feels like shifting. If you look at that, it's actually clicking into things, and I love that. So that's a cool thing for me. I enjoy that. But yeah, I do feel like I'm sitting up a little bit tight, just because I'm a taller person. We're gonna drive through here carefully.
And we'll just follow this road right back out to the front of Coachmen. We'll start out on State Road 13. And we'll take the test drive route that we take at the factory. So when we go out to test everything right before it ships, this will be the same test drive route that we take.
Okay. Windshield wipers work, so go back this way, right?
Yep. Okay. Go back to our display, and then we'll pull right on.
This is pretty peppy. This feels pretty peppy, yeah.
It's going to get up and go when you pull out the traffic, especially out here on 13 where it's 45 miles an hour. You'll see it'll pick right up with traffic, no problem. Let's take a right here at the stop sign.
I noticed here in, I don't know if it's all of Indiana or just Middlebury, but you guys have some very tiny stop signs sometimes.
Get stuck behind something?
No, there's tiny little stop signs somewhere. Okay, I'm going right?
No, we're going to take a left.
Going left?
Yep.
Okay. Okay. We know how I'm doing on that side.
And on this side, there's a center lane as well.
Oh yeah, that's pretty peppy.
Yeah, so we're right up to speed.
Yeah.
The Sumo Springs, smooth ride.
Yeah, that feels good. So I'm going straight down?
Yeah, we're going to keep going straight.
Now let me see, can we get the AC stuff going here? How do we do it?
Just going to turn it on.
All right.
AC starting to go.
Yeah, that feels good.
And everything's touchscreen right through here, so if you need to hook up to your phone, you can hook up to your phone too. So you have Bluetooth, you connect, you have navigation.
Yeah.
I hook my phone up.
Now, one of the things, I've said this in previous videos that I've done, is I think the front of this, and it matters to some people, doesn't matter to other people, it's totally subjective. I think it's the least attractive of the chassis, the front part. It's kind of got like these big bug eyes. Some people probably really like that and think that's cute.
That's one of the main. Obviously, that's one of the main differences between the Ford and the Galleria or the Mercedes and this is that it does those two chassis do have more room front to back. Gives you more room here in the cab. We're going to take a left here. But this is also having a little less room and being a little bit closer makes some people feel more comfortable, especially if they have trouble in a bigger vehicle like an SUV. This just feels more something like a minivan or more of a crossover vehicle. I
was talking about the aesthetic looks of the outside. It's almost like bull horns or something, the lights and stuff like that. I like the cab forwardness of this here. It feels like I'm very up front and close to what's going on. But the looks, however, from what I hear, there's a fascia or a look change coming here pretty soon in the next few years, because in Europe they've already changed the looks out there. But I don't think, when I'm looking at it from other people driving it and stuff like that, I don't think it looks really bad. It's just me being subjective.
And that's what it comes down to. That's why we have 3 different product lines. It's all personal preference. So
yeah, let's see how we can get up here. Come on. Sounds good.
Yeah. So we're just gonna take this road all the way straight until it tees off, and then we'll head.
Yeah.
And that'll pretty much take you around not pretty much, that will take you through the driving route that we take for our
for the test. Oh, you guys do a test drive?
Yep, so we test drive every vehicle that leaves the factory.
What are you looking for on that test drive?
Any noises, making sure everything drives straight, drives the way it should. As you can see, this is
It's a bumpy road.
Yeah, this is a real life scenario. This is something you guys, as RVers, are going to be driving down yourself. So if we come back from a test drive and there's, I don't know, a cabinet handle that may have gotten loose or something, that's something we can take care of and address here at the factory, and that's why we do those test drives.
So there's always a little bit of noise, right?
Always.
So what are you're looking specifically for things that are rattling around that weren't secured down tightly enough or something?
Exactly. Rattling around, keep them straight.
Okay.
Yeah, rattling around, something that you wouldn't typically hear or want to hear while you're going down the road. Or making sure that while your drive's okay. I mean, we want to make sure that your steering wheel isn't, if you're going straight, you shouldn't have your steering wheel turned all the way to the left and still be going straight. It should be going left.
Yeah.
So making sure all your...
We've got a guy on a reverse trike here, which is cool. I love these.
Yeah, he just swerved at
That's
that
cool.
Ford Ranger.
Yeah, be careful that there's this person out here driving, be a little bit conscious of them, doing what they're doing here. I'll go around here. There you go. That's awesome. I love those.
Those recumbent bikes?
Yeah.
I see a lot of people out here with those.
Yeah. You have to be patient when you're driving, people.
Oh, especially out here. You're running into horse and buggies all the time.
Yes, exactly. Which is also another cool thing that you don't see everywhere. So you know what? I'm really enjoying this. What do you think about these when you drive them? Do you like them? I know you've said to me before you drive the Transits a lot. Where am I going?
We're going to take a left here.
Take a left?
And that's going to tee off again. We'll take another left. It'll take us back to Middlebury.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I said, I do like these. It's peppy. They're easy to get around, and you're going to see, we're going to go right downtown Middlebury. Everything's real tight. Everything's 2 lanes. Building, it's small town USA. Right. It's going to be very easy to get through. If you want to pull this into a parking spot, it's very easy to pull this into a parking spot. I mean, it whips right in, just like you'd be driving a minivan.
Right. So this has no turbos.
No turbos. Nope.
So this is naturally aspirated. Front wheel drive. Yeah, it's pretty cool. Yeah. I'm actually surprised. How's the efficiency of this? How is this with gas, like real world?
You're right in the. Of course, we always get different responses back from different people. It depends on how you drive and your driving style. We try to stay right in the 14 to 16 mile an hour or miles per gallon. Right?
Miles per gallon. Okay.
It depends on how you're weighted. If you do have something in the back. Some people will put a little moped on the back. That's going to weight it down. So anytime you add more weight, it's going to affect that fuel efficiency. As it sits right now, we're right in that 14 to 16 mile an hour, mile per gallon range.
Yeah. Yeah, visibility, nice big window here.
Yeah, at this point, so we've hit anywhere from 0 to about 55 miles an hour, so it gives us a full range of speeds. Very rarely are we seeing, at least for us, seeing RVers at 70, 75 miles an hour.
Yeah. Am I scaring you at all?
No, not at all. Not one bit. No.
Yeah, I don't feel like I have to make wide turns or anything. I'm sure there's some spots.
Absolutely.
You want to consider that you got a long back end.
Yeah, we've gone through a couple different places where wind does come across the road, and you're not having to white knuckle this. It's not going back and forth. Easy to handle. Yeah. You can hear there's not a lot of road noise going down the road.
No.
That's part of that's part of the hush mat that we put over the wheel wells. So
okay.
You're going to eliminate a lot of that road noise going down the road.
Yeah. So this is sitting very much lower than everything else in the chassis lineup. How does this handle wind? We're not gonna get an opportunity here to see this on the highway, let's say, with wind.
Yep.
I'm assuming it's better. I don't know if you've had an opportunity to do that yet.
From customer reviews, it is better. It's a little bit easier to handle, and I think that's why some of these new RVers and newbie van buyers really like this product.
Start out with this.
Yep, it's just something they can very easily jump into.
Right.
It's not something they have to learn to drive.
Right.
Or become comfortable driving. They've driven an SUV, they've driven a minivan, they've driven a truck, and this kind of feels like that for them.
Yeah, I've seen people come back from test drives and with taller vehicles. So let's say you're let's say you get a 4x4 and it's lifted, and they're worried about, you know, some of that like sway that they're feeling. And even though you have things obviously helping to manage that, it's not going to get rid of everything. I mean, we're dealing with physics, so yeah.
Yeah, and that's it's going to be driving conditions too, and you've got to really analyze where you're at, and that's part of being an RV and part of driving something like this. If you don't feel comfortable where you're driving, take some time, stop, enjoy the area, pick it up back later.
Yeah. Always think about what it is you're driving. That's my, you know, and I've got to remind myself of that too. With whatever, I like getting into different vehicles, and you need to remind yourself what you're driving. And there's always going to be a different road feel and things that you can't drive everything like a car.
Of course, yeah, you got to respect the machine you're in.
Yeah. I've seen like tractor trailer drivers driving like they're in a sports car.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
80 miles an hour down the road.
Yeah.
Dodging, weaving out of traffic.
Yeah. The AC feels good. You know, I feel like this is getting less sun in here. There's something about the slope here that I think, you know, obviously the sun is coming up, but it's not coming in too much. Yeah. Going straight?
You can take a left or go straight. One or the other.
Okay, let's go left.
Original spot.
So now, how come I can't get these all-wheel drive?
It's not offered to us.
Okay.
Or we don't have it as an option for us as a manufacturer.
I would say that if all-wheel drive was an option on these, it would make this like close to perfect for a lot of first-time people. You know, you get front-wheel drive is good. It helps. You know.
Recently there's been some
rear wheel.
Customers that have brought up Dodge released that there's going to be some updates and upgrades here in the future, but it won't be available to us for another 12 months probably.
Yeah,
maybe
for a little
longer.
Yeah, all-wheel drive, better looks on the outside, maybe a turbo on the engine, but that's just, you know, the way that my brain works. Me talking about the things that would make it perfect. But really, this is really not bad. Yeah. This is really easy to drive.
Well, it's like we talked about yesterday, and all the videos you've done with Nick before. He's sat there and he listens to what you guys have to say, and that's where our products came from.
Bless you.
Oh, I apologize. Customer feedback.
Yeah. You know, that's one of the things I do appreciate about Coachmen. I've got a bias. I own a Coachman, and Coachmen, the Class B guys, you guys are great with us. Help us out with a lot of things that we don't know. And here's the great thing: it's not just us. I see you guys doing that for everyone.
That Nick's big thing is customer service, and he really hammers that in and drills that into our division, and that's what he wants to see from us. And we want to be able to provide the best customer service to you guys.
I appreciate it. I'm glad I came here and got to meet you and got to know each other, man.
I've enjoyed it. Now we're getting back to pick up a Galleria and take another test drive.
Absolutely. Just looking so that I know for future reference. If it's a button. That was cool. That was actually a fun, zippy ride. I enjoyed that.
Very quiet on the road. Saw there was daylight running lights on there as well. You know, but it was very quiet even as you drove by me.
Yeah, that was fun. All right, so now we're going on to the Galleria.
This is going to be a 3.0 liter V6. you can get it in rear-wheel drive or four-wheel drive. The four-wheel drive is going to be a little bit taller, so you can get a little more ground clearance there.
Okay.
The specific model we're looking at right now is the 24A, and it was a limited edition graphite gray color that we had. We have no more of them.
Oh, you don't?
It was a limited edition. This is also with the Stealth package.
Okay, so this is rear-wheel drive. It's V6. Is it a single turbo?
Single turbo.
I think it's probably about 188 horsepower.
Yep.
Yeah, and diesel. And there's no lift or anything like that. Rear-wheel drive only.
Yep.
Okay.
So this is rear-wheel drive only, but if you do four-wheel drive, you go up another 3 inches.
Right. So this will be a little lower than the 4x4 Sprinter, but still a higher van. What do you think about driving these?
It's nice. It's really nice. You're driving a high-end luxury vehicle down the road, and you're going to get everything you'll get with Mercedes. You're going to get, hey Mercedes, everything with the steering wheel. If you want to change the volume, you want to change radio channels, you want to talk to Mercedes, you can go and say, hey Mercedes, take me to the nearest gas station. And it's going to pull that up on your navigation.
Okay.
It's also very smooth to drive just naturally without the Sumo springs. Then we had the Sumo springs, and you also have the option for VB air suspension on it as well.
What does VB air suspension mean?
So it's just an air suspension. It's 2 airbags that go in the rear, and it will automatically
balance
itself out and feel. It just makes the ride a little smoother. Okay,
cool. So I have driven a Sprinter van just right before this. Actually, we were doing some stuff at Brownells, and they have a brand new 19-foot Sprinter van. So that's like just 4 wheels, no dualies or anything like what this has. So I'm very curious to see how this feels versus that. So where's the keys?
Inside.
Inside. Okay, so you go in this way, I'll go that way.
Yeah. One of the things I really like to point out with this over the Nova is it's so much taller, and it's much easier to get from the living quarters up to the front cab area, where in the ProMaster I already hit my head. Here I'm walking right into it and sitting in the passenger seat.
So let's take a look at this. Pretty much it's the standard now that your gas tank be here. I don't know this. Oh, there's not a button. You can flip it open. Diesel, obviously. So that would be the difference here. And then, you know, being a Mercedes, you've got all these, you know, your seats are power and stuff like that. So that's awesomeness. I love that. I'm going to get in and get set up. Other than the seat adjustments and all that that's powered, and I'll go over these here in a second as I'm getting set up. Here's the keys, quite a few keys as well with this. And the beautiful thing of this is, you know how Drake says, I don't drive anything, I gotta put the keys in. Push to start. Yeah, this is push to start. Voila. That's awesome. So we're gonna get set up here. Make sure our volume is down.
And you can do that on the steering wheel too, and it's a roller.
Yeah, lots of volume controls here, and all of the cool stuff. We're not going to get in depth into that. It's going to work if you have a Mercedes a lot like how your Mercedes will work. Let me see how the mirrors are here. I'll adjust this. And I don't actually see anything for the lower mirror here. So if I wanted to adjust my blind spots, I would have to put my hand out there and do it with this. So
hopefully your passenger will help you.
Yeah. So you might want to just push that out a little bit if you can. There you go. So that's interesting.
Yeah, the Dodge has that, Mercedes doesn't.
Yeah, the Ram ProMaster has the powered one, so that's pretty cool. But this does have push to start, a whole bunch of buttons. You could program your seats. So do these seats swivel?
They do swivel. So in all three brands, all 3 seats, all 3 passenger and driver seats swivel.
Yeah. And I really do like that I could power control this. I'm gonna actually, this feels like it has a lot of room in comparison to that Ram that we were just in.
You'll notice a lot more room there in the driver's seat.
Yeah.
The steering wheel does adjust, so it does go
up
and down.
Powered?
It does come up. Nope, it's
manual.
Okay,
it's manual, so I'll bring that down just a little. There we go. And I think I'm good on everything here, so we can start driving.
Yeah, we're gonna take the same route that we just took with the ProMaster. I'll show you how to use that Hey Mercedes and that navigation, and it'll bring us back to Coachmen. See you, D.
Yeah.
How may I help you?
Right, it's coming up now.
This cup holders up there.
Yeah.
How can I help?
There's a lot of, so up here, if you want to look, there's there's actually a pad here. You can put your phone in and charge it. There's a ton of USB stuff in here that you could do, and I believe that you can actually connect your phone and be able to do Apple CarPlay and stuff like that, right?
I was just getting ready to say that. So you can, all your Apple CarPlay and everything's hooked up right through there.
Yeah.
So you don't have a lot of cords and wires and your phone's hanging down here where in some of your other vehicles you do.
Lots of cup holders, as Lola is saying. Yeah, I mean, Mercedes. You know,
it's a Mercedes.
I love these.
It's a Mercedes.
Yeah, you know, I love the air vents, just the style and everything here that you would expect in a Mercedes. You do really get this here. So there you go. We've got lots of electronic aids in this, including the backup camera. You can go like a wide on the back up here, I see. And then this is tow hitch, right? Mm-hmm. So that's what that red thing will indicate. So if you're backing up to something that you're going to tow, you'd be able to do that. There's different options of what you can actually get with these. So I really think it depends on that particular Mercedes, right? That particular Sprinter.
We option everything we possibly can.
Okay.
So this is as loaded as we can possibly get it.
Okay, there you go. All right, so I'm gonna go down here, pretty much do the same thing. Now I notice in comparison to the ProMaster, this is like a little heavier. I've got to go a little bit more on the gas to get this going here. And I'm still gonna turn around here. We're gonna go down. Thinking about my...
Pull through any one of your stocks.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna pull through.
Yeah.
I'm gonna pull through here because there's not as much room for this one. So I'll go through. Now, cool thing we didn't say in the other one, if you notice all these hookups here, should I even tell anyone about this, Josh? Maybe we should keep this a secret so people don't know that if you own a Coachmen,
you can come camp here.
Yeah, I already told everyone. But it's an awesome thing, you know, that you can pull up here and camp out. I think that we're camped out. No, someone actually...
No, we're further down.
We're further down, yeah.
Yeah, there's
so
your spot down there.
Yeah, we've got a spot down here right now. So if you've got repairs or things like that are going on, you can actually come up, right?
Yep, that's what we try to reserve it for that, for customer service. If somebody is in our service center, or anybody from Coachmen, if somebody's bringing their unit in and it's something they're going to get done in a day or so, we try to reserve these spots for them. But if you do come through for a plant tour as well, you're also welcome to camp here.
Yeah, absolutely. So that's a great... I'll tell you, I haven't seen anyone else that's doing that. So let me try out the, let's see, how do I get my, my windshield washer stuff is here.
Oh, and the gear shift's just a little bit different than what the Dodge was. So
it's all on the stock.
Yep, so where the Dodge, you actually felt the shift through. This is all in the stock.
Yeah, so here would be reverse if we're going to show everyone that.
Yep. Park is just a
down
push
to
button.
Neutral. Yeah, if you're going to park, that would be park. And then push down to go back. It's a little bit like a Tesla in that, I think. Okay, let's go.
And then you can actually shift gears manually in this. So if you were to hit that down one more time, it'll put it to, you'll see it first. It should go down into, or if you hit the paddle switch on the left hand side.
Oh, here we go. Let's go down.
Yep.
Yeah, it's D1.
So drive one and then
D2. See it? I'm switching through the gears right there. See? 1, 2. If you want to do that. And then you could just go back. All right.
If you get in a race or something.
Yeah. All right, let's go. So this is a diesel, has a lot of low-end torque on it. For sure. I can definitely feel that I'm driving something bigger, but it doesn't feel unmanageable to me.
To me, there's a huge difference between that ProMaster floor, or the ProMaster chassis and this chassis. It does feel a little bigger. It's taller, so you're gonna get a little more back and forth, side to side movement.
Right.
With that ProMaster, it's a little peppier. It's gonna be able to get out in front of things a little faster.
That guy was just coming back from a test drive in that white Galleria. Yeah, that's cool.
Same route we're taking.
Yeah.
And you have to use your foot a little less on the ProMaster than you do on the Mercedes.
I would have gone here. Actually, I could probably do it. Let's go for it here.
Drop that down to first gear and get out of here.
Yeah, I should have done it right there. Oh, I see you've got that figured out.
I may or may not have done that.
Yeah.
There's all our chassis
for the Class C's and stuff.
Class C chassis.
Yeah. So yeah, this feels good. Very smooth and comfortable on the road. Feels like a Mercedes. Steering wheel feels great. Nice big view here.
Set up a little bit higher.
Yeah. Now, do people have the option with this of a camera? Of like an extra camera setup or a monitor?
No.
No?
Nope.
Okay.
No, we don't offer that front-facing camera.
Okay. Or the rear-facing when you're driving if you're towing stuff? Okay.
You can do that on the ProMaster. You can actually get into it. It just gives you a section for more. You click on more and it shows you the rear view camera, so you can actually turn on the rear view camera.
Yeah. The pickup on this takes a little bit longer for the pickup, but it feels like it has power. Yeah. Braking is pretty good. There we go. Okay. And it's got some warning. All the warning stuff is coming on.
Yep, if there's a warning you can think of, Mercedes thought of it.
Get this up here. Yeah, so it takes a little time to pick up. But it's very smooth. Yeah. We're hitting those bumps.
Same road that we took with the ProMaster, and you're feeling it a lot less than this.
Yeah, it feels very smooth, very comfortable. I mean, I could see the road, but those bumps are not translating as much to me in here. Now, obviously, if you're in the back,
it's going to be a little bit different.
Yeah, or our poor camera person back there.
That's when that VB air suspension comes into play.
So this has the DB air suspension?
This does not have VB.
Doesn't have it. Oh, okay. So that would be even better.
Yes.
Okay.
So we leave that as an option. Very, very, very rarely when you see that as a stock feature at a dealership. And there's only, if you want VB air suspension, you can only have it installed by certain dealerships that are authorized dealerships.
Sorry, Lola. This is fun though. This is fun to drive.
How's the difference between the 19 foot and the 24 foot?
I can tell that it's translating back there, but it doesn't have as fast as pickup as that ProMaster did, but it feels actually a little bit more comfortable to drive, and I would say it's I could still drive this, is what I'm thinking. You know.
Since you're in a Transit every day.
Yeah.
What's the major differences you see in this chassis?
The big difference between this and the Transit is this has if this feels like a Mercedes. That's what I could say about it. It feels like a Mercedes, or I'm more of like an Audi guy. It feels like that. It really does. And Nick from Sunshine State RV was always telling me that. I'm like, in my mind, I'm like, whatever. But I can feel it here. I can feel it here. It's definitely a bigger vehicle. It's a little bit bigger than the Transit, but you know, I thought like, oh, I'm not gonna enjoy driving it. It's gonna be not manageable for me. But actually, with all the things here, it really does feel manageable, and I feel already very at home in this. So, you know, it just takes a little bit longer coming out of these kinds of things. Or, you know, we've got more of a tail behind us, sort of a thing.
Yeah, it's just an extra couple feet, but...
Yeah. And so when I drove that shorter Sprinter, this feels a lot like that. It doesn't feel that much different for the shorter part. And I think it feels a little bit more planted, probably because of the dualies, right?
Yeah, a little bit.
And the sumo springs.
A little bit stronger stance, so you're not going to feel that sway.
So this feels a lot like driving that, even though that one was shorter, which is interesting. What's the gas mileage like on these? It's a diesel.
Yeah, so the fuel, we're right in that 14 to 16, 14, 17. I've heard some people get 12, but they're also
Yeah, I'm getting about 14 on the Transit. So if people are looking for a model that's gonna save them gas, you don't really think there's a difference there, right? That's not something to consider, really.
No, I don't think it is.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter if it's the Dodge, just like you have on the Ford, you're going to be at 14 miles per gallon. This we would sell it as a 14 to 17 miles per gallon vehicle. It's diesel. It's really going to be what you're comfortable with driving with.
Yeah. And then also how you drive. Like, I'm pretty sure I could get to 15. And I think also what I've heard about the Fords, and I think I've seen it a little bit, if you put in a higher grade of octane, of fuel in there, it'll get a little bit more better gas mileage, but it costs more if that's something that you're considering. But I think from what you're saying, that's roughly the window. So it really, gas mileage, I would say to someone, if they ask me now, don't worry about it.
Yeah, if you're looking to buy something for fuel mileage, you're paying the fuel mileage you don't get, you're paying for in fun, is really what it is.
Yeah, and obviously
memories.
Obviously diesel is more expensive. But a little bit more efficient. Yeah.
Higher energy output. You have DEF on here, which you don't have to deal with on either Ford or Dodge chassis.
What does that mean?
Diesel exhaust fluid? I don't know.
Oh, so you have to. Oh, I know what you're saying. There's like a special chemical in there to help clean the exhaust fumes from the diesel, and every now and then you have to get that exchanged, which can only be done at the dealership.
Correct.
Okay. Right. And we were talking about this in the other. Sorry, go ahead.
Actually, DEF doesn't have to be filled by the dealership. You can fill that yourself.
Oh, you can?
Yeah, it's going to have to be a authorized product, but you can fill that yourself.
How often does that have to get filled?
Oh, I don't have an exact number on it. So that's usually something that we'll refer to that even I'll refer to our customer Facebook page.
Okay.
Just typically what people are using, how often they're refilling it on average. But it's really not feasible, from what it sounds like, to go to a dealership every time it needs to be refilled.
Yeah, you might as well just buy that stuff or order it, and then do it yourself. So we were talking about this in the other video, but if folks haven't seen that, what is it like with maintenance? It's a Mercedes, European parts. People worry about that.
Of course. So you're going to be able to go to a Mercedes authorized van dealer. If you're at a campground, and they're expanding this, you'll be able to have if you're stuck in a campground, let's say you're stuck in a campground, something breaks down, you'll have you can have a van that will come out, and it's a mobile tech that will come out and work on your van for you. And you're going to you're paying Mercedes parts, it's going to be a little more, you're paying for diesel. That diesel parts are a little more expensive.
Yeah. They're supposed to be more robust though, and have a longer engine life. I know these are the parts are being manufactured outside of the country, but it's being assembled here in America. So I heard that that makes less problems. Am I going left here? I think that's what I did last time.
Take a left here.
Yeah. So so for that, I'm hearing that there's better performance and stuff, but it's also easier to get parts if you have to, right?
To get parts at your Mercedes dealer, I mean, we're just as people have seen with our parts, everybody's struggling to get things imported or getting parts, period. But you shouldn't have any issues getting parts for your Mercedes.
And there is, I know you said yesterday that there's special techs, I guess, that go out in Sprinter vans if it really becomes necessary.
Yeah, that's what I was referring to from the dealership. So if you're at a campground or you're in a Walmart parking lot, and
this interface is a lot better. Just look at that. See, it's like touch sensitive. See that? It's like a little mouse. So I'm moving my hand up and down here, and see how it's moving to different options. Yeah, I'm sorry, I cut you off there.
That's fine.
Josh.
And for some reason something's wrong with your van and you can't get to a dealership, they can send somebody out in one of their mobile tech.
The other thing that I heard, and Nick was telling me this, that if you actually start playing around with all the windows and everything in here, it goes into child lockout mode.
I heard Nick say that yesterday. I didn't know that until you found that out. But apparently if you play with the windows too much, it will lock itself out, so you can't keep putting them up and down. Yeah, we've got a little bit of traffic going here. And I think the solution for that was you just open the driver's side. And then it comes, because it shuts everything down and you can't do anything.
So they were saying, well, what you have to do when that happens is just open the driver's side and it resets. So, and as I was showing Lola, this is a lot more like a modern luxury car. There's a little touchpad here on this side, a little touchpad on this side. You can control a whole bunch of things from here. So if people are wondering, I know you don't get that on the Dodge, and I also know you don't get that on the Ford Transit. So
yeah, so I mean, there's, at this point, if you're driving down the road, there's really nothing that you would have to do touch screen here or take your phone out from the Apple, from the storage bin up here. If you have Apple CarPlay or Android Auto hooked up, you can do it all from your steering wheel. Yeah. And that especially helps if you're just a single driver.
That's one of the things I think a lot of people are going to worry about. Like, hey, I'm going to pay a little bit extra for that. Typically, what's the charge? What are we looking at? Maybe, is it about $30,000 to $50,000 more for a Galleria versus, let's say, a Beyond? I think we're good to go.
Oh, from a Beyond MSRP price point?
Yeah.
Somewhere in that range. It just depends on how it's going to be optioned. So if you're going to do a 4-wheel drive Li3 option, that's going to be an MSRP.
It's going to be all the way up there.
Yeah, that'll be an MSRP of over $200,000.
Yeah. And this is Li3, right?
Yes, so this is Li3. This is not 4-wheel drive, though.
Right.
Same thing, I mean, if you're going to do an Li3, which is the Beyond that we're going to jump into and take for a test drive around here, that's an Li3 system with all-wheel drive. That's going to be a little pricier, too, where some people don't option the Li3 on
I would say do it. I would say get the lithium, get the battery.
Yeah.
Now, my only personal issue with that is if you get the battery, you don't get the generator, but you guys do have a second alternator in here, right? So that helps with charging.
Yeah, it's an alternator, and if you look at any POP or pamphlets, they call it an underhood generator. And it's 280 amp hours. It'll recharge that battery if it's at dead zero to in about 2.5 hours. So
but the engine has to be running. So just like you would probably be running a generator, the engine would have to be running. I don't know if I would say it's a generator, but it does help because you can burn out your alternator if you just have one. So you've got a lot more capability by having that dedicated alternator. It doesn't use both, right?
No, I mean it'll power it all through, but it does it comes directly from that second alternator, so it's not using using both.
Here's what I would say for me: if you're really getting into remote places, it would be cool to also have a generator. And I don't know if there'll ever be an option like that. But if I went back and did it, I would definitely get the Li3.
Okay,
that's a definite.
Yeah, the Li3 is, I mean, I push that option pretty hard just because we do have a lot of boondockers, especially when you go to a 4-wheel drive Mercedes or an all-wheel drive Ford. It'll power everything in your coach.
Yeah.
You never have to worry about, I mean, and you can, it's very self-sustainable. And that's our B-Van buyers and our B-Van customers, they want to be very as self-sustainable as possible. Yeah. And you're not hooked up at a campground to 30 amp service. You're out in a parking lot or you're in a parking spot.
Yeah. Don't think you could do it from your solar panels, though. Your solar panels won't help you charge these batteries. It's just basically a trickle charge, like a maintenance type of a thing. But that the second alternator, when the engine's running, will help do it. And then if you're plugged in. So just to pick back up where we left off, really, solar panels are great, but they're not capable of fully charging. So folks out there really do have to realize that you either have to plug it in or you have to drive it or run the engine in order to recharge the batteries.
Exactly. Those solar panels are meant to offset the draw from the fridge.
Yeah.
So your battery doesn't get drawn from the...
Yeah, for your stuff that's always on.
Yep.
Absolutely. And one last thing before we get out of this that I like, Lola, is this. So I just want to show you this. So you see how it looks like the armrest is not going into position? You could pull it up and adjust it to wherever you want it to be.
It's a ratcheting armrest?
Yeah, it's ratcheting, so I really like that. You can adjust it to a good position. I noticed that from when I was driving the Sprinter before, but I don't know if that was in the ProMaster that we were driving, but I love that feature. Lots of room over here and all that kind of stuff. You know, you do have a handbrake. The handbrake is down here, and I believe on the ProMaster it was like a button somewhere there that we didn't see, but I love the start-stop.
Push button.
What? Awesomeness.
You ready to take the Transit first, man?
Yeah, let's do it. All right, so we're looking at the Beyond now. This is an Li3. What model is this?
This is a 22D.
22D. So I have an RB, and it's not an Li3. It came originally with an AGM battery and the generator. I have converted it to lithium batteries from Battleborn. But that's the only changes. What can you tell me about this? And this is a 2022 model, and it is a 2021.
2021 chassis, 2022 model. The 2021 chassis all come with the painted front bumper, so all the bumpers are painted to color match the rest of the chassis. This particular one's an all-wheel drive chassis. We've been getting some Beyond chassis in here, the Ford Transits, and they've all been all-wheel drive.
Right.
It's a 3.5 liter V6. It's turboed. But really, this is
there are some
more about it than
well, there's some changes I noticed you guys made on it. One, smart plug.
Yep, so we do the smart plug. So it's still your 30 amp hookup, but the smart plug, I actually can pull the cord here out of the back to show you a little bit more about it.
So with this, what I'm assuming is happening with this is you don't have to get like a Bully Dog or any of those other devices that you would usually plug into wherever you're plugging into for shore power to check the circuits, to make sure there's no overloads, because that's all built into this and that, right?
So this is something we got from the marine industry. This is going to detect connection and if there's any signs of reverse polarity, so you're not going to have any shorts and have any fires inside the coach. Also, for those places where in those cold winter months, this is all copper wiring, so it's very malleable, so it's going to stay just like this, and it'll be able to pull out straight. So you'll be able to move it around. It's a very malleable product.
Yeah, if you're buying one of these, I'm very jealous of you, just based off of this. Lola and I haven't gotten a chance yet to get all that stuff, so I'm just plugging in. But that's pretty cool. So that's a cool upgrade for all the folks. I know people out there that are waiting for these, especially the all-wheel drive versions, and I heard that these are going to Sunshine State RV.
Very possible. I don't know what the unit numbers are on it, but
allegedly.
It's probably going to Sunshine.
Allegedly. So if you're, regardless of who it is getting these, I know it's been kind of tough for people to wait, but you are getting some benefits. You guys changed all the hookups here as well, so I noticed there's a panel here now.
Yep. So we didn't make many changes this year. It's been a struggle to get Transit chassis and just supplies overall. So things are working and the wheels rolling, so why change it now? But we did add the smart plug for a safety feature, and then we added this enclosure here, so all your water hookups are all enclosed. So black tank flush, city water, potable water, and your cable.
Yeah. So this is really cool. This doesn't lock, but you can actually put a lock on here if you wanted to, and you can make that lock. That's easy enough. And you can just hide away everything. You could color code this if you want to this, this spray stuff that you could do to get this silver and put it around that, and then smooth out the whole look back here if you wanted to.
And if for some reason you do take that off to color match it, just make sure it gets resealed around there so you don't have any leaks.
Absolutely. And then I think, just real quick, before we go up front and do the driving stuff, just because I see it here, these doors are different, so now you've got like a whole new door panel back here. So you've got some insulation in here now, right?
Yeah, so this is actually an option. So we see your rear door built like this. This is called our ABS insulated rear doors.
Okay.
Otherwise your door is not going to be built up.
Okay, yeah. So I don't have that either. I don't have that either, Josh. This is a 3.5 liter V6, basically the 350 HD. That's the same engine that is in the Raptor, except it's tuned a little differently. It's got a lot more torque for what's going on here. But what are we looking at? 300 and something horsepower, I think.
Between driving the Galleria on the Mercedes chassis and the ProMaster, where you saw a lot of pep out of the ProMaster, you even mentioned how you had to have your foot a little bit heavier on the dot or on the Mercedes. You're going to see a good mix between the two here. And that's one of the things I really like about this chassis, is that it's a little bit bigger. You're going to be able to walk right into it from the living portion. It's easy to get into. You're going to have a lot of space for the driver and passenger. And you're going to have a lot of torque and a lot of pep, just like you do in the ProMaster for pulling out into traffic, and torque if you need to get places like you do on the Mercedes.
So the horsepower on this is 310 horsepower. Yes, the best, the most horses possible. That, like, I mean, that's, you know, over 100 horsepower over the Sprinter van. I was actually surprised at the ProMaster having 280,
yeah,
but it's still 100 horsepower over that. It's way more over the Sprinter. So it's like 110 or 20 or something like that over it. So, and the torque is 400 pound-foot. So there you go.
So yeah, you're going to see a really good mix between both chassis that we just rode in.
Yeah.
The ride quality, you're going to see very similar, more towards the Mercedes.
Yeah. So here we go. One of the things with Ford is you got this key thing here that you could put in your own code and get in that I haven't even figured out yet on mine. But there's a card in there and it tells you how to do all of it. And of course you've got your gas filler here. It's gas, 25-gallon tank on these. It's got a, like, what do you guys call this? It's a kind of leather-ish type stuff. Yeah.
It's durable. It's going to be easy to clean if you ever have to clean it.
Yeah.
And these are actually upgraded seat covers. So when people are asking about the upgraded seat covers, this is what it looks like, and it's going to match. This is cashmere. It's going to match the interior fabrics.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you're going to get a black cloth that comes from the factory.
Yeah. So check this out, Lola. I can't remember. I think we have this, so you can check that out.
And we do all the seat recovers here at the factory.
Yeah. All right. So I'm gonna get in here.
You can get in, but you have to duck a little.
Yeah. Not nearly as much as you do in the ProMaster, though. A little more than you do in the Mercedes.
So here's the keys. There's several of them, which is great. Get about 4 keys. No push to start. No push to start. I feel like Drake would be ashamed of me and not get in this with me.
Go back to your traditional shifter.
Yeah, it's got a traditional shifter here. So now with the mirrors, so far as I can see, it does have the upper part of this mirror powered, but not the lower part. So it's going to be similar to the Mercedes in that regard. Here, I'll turn this down a little. So you'll have to go out there, and I'll have to put this one down, and then stretch out like an animal. But there we go. Okay. I feel more at home in this. Obviously, this is what I drive. And what we have. And something is open. It says rear load compartment door ajar.
I bet the rear door is open.
Yeah. So, yeah, shifter here. The AC on this is awesome. So one of the things I've shown people before, if you get in and it's really hot, but your AC, let's say you had it set on low or something, you hit it. If you hit it like that, it'll just go up to full blast on the AC. And also one of the cool things I've noticed from driving this is if you get a phone call, it'll actually dial the AC down. So that's pretty good. It does have Apple CarPlay. I'm not sure about Android, but Apple CarPlay is awesome. It has a backup camera right there. And you also have a front-facing camera. So you can turn that on at low speeds, the front-facing. You've got auto start-stop on these, which you can turn off there if you want to do that. I don't know, what other features should I talk about here? It's got different modes.
I believe this one you actually have to be in park. I don't know about the low speed.
I think you can do it because it's showing up front. So let's see. Let's try it out here. We'll take everything off. See, so you can.
Oh, so
you can do that up to. Yeah, if you're driving, if you're actually driving, it won't let you do that. And then if you go into reverse, it comes on. So and it's got sensors and stuff like that. This does have the lane indicator if someone's right there in the lane, the radar, which is useful. You just heard me use the handbrake, which I use often. Here's a beautiful thing though about the handbrake. It's in brake right now. I can push it down and then it makes it easier to get in and out of here. But the Mercedes is better. I think when it comes to that, it's wider here.
Yeah, you're going to have more space right here to get to and from the back of the coach, so you're not really going to have to worry about this.
Right, yeah, exactly. The one thing I would say for me is a complaint in mine, and obviously it is in this one. I'm a bigger guy. I always feel like I'm slipping off of this, and I actually use this one, believe me.
Reach over and do that.
I wish there was a way to like either get this out and something so I can get a little bit more out of it. but typically you'll see me just put it up and get it out of the way. But lots of room up here. I'm pretty happy.
Tons of space for passenger and driver.
The Mercedes had a little bit more though.
Oh, it's much larger there, and it's much wider here. So
yeah.
you have much more walking space.
Yeah.
The seats actually slide out here on the Mercedes, so if you are taking those long trips, the seat slides out and it'll go underneath your knees.
Yeah.
So
this has good cup holders. There's one here, not as many as a Mercedes either. There's a bunch of stuff here. There's USBs you could plug in. You could store stuff there, here, and you've got glove box.
I really like these cup holders. As you saw, I carry that big water jug around. It's a 48-ounce water jug, and it's got 2 down by your knees.
Yeah,
so they fit inside there.
Yeah. The only thing that's weird, which I don't see it on this. So on mine, there's a pocket here, and people, I don't know why they made a pocket, and people will put stuff, and then they tell you don't put anything here because you'll slam it like that. And so they deleted that on the new ones.
And now it's just the handle.
Yeah, so good. I guess they heard those complaints, and they changed that.
Yeah.
Okay, so obviously this is what I drive every day.
Yeah.
What do you think about this?
About the Transit?
Yeah.
It's like I said, I jump in either the ProMaster or the Transit. And we haven't had a whole lot of Transits here to jump in and move around on campus, but when I do, I pretty much always come out here because I like sitting up a little bit higher. It's still peppy. It's still going to get out in front of traffic. It's still going to get moving if I ever have to. But I like the up high feel of it.
Yeah.
And I like the space. Like I said, I'm a little bit bigger guy, and then in the ProMaster, you're sitting a little closer to the front of it. I don't like sitting so close to the front, but that's just a personal thing for me. And I like the space. I like the leg room.
Yeah, I like to have that little bit of room. I agree with you. I think the ProMaster is the tightest. So if you're a big guy like us, there's going to be some issues. But if you are a shorter, vertically challenged person like Lola back there,
Very PC of you.
Yeah, you won't have any issues with it. Nice big window, very big window on all of these. I think have good windows. So let's go along for the ride here and see how it is. Me comparing it. So for this, because I already have one, and I've been doing it with the other vehicles as well, I'm gonna do a lot of comparison. I feel like it's comfortable, but it's not as comfortable as the Mercedes. And definitely the steering wheel doesn't have the same feel. There are buttons and controls up here. There's a lot of stuff you could do up here. You can go to different controls and you could do it all up here. You can move up and down. So this, I think, sits in the class right in the middle in what I would call like a sweet spot. So if you don't have quite Mercedes money, but you want a little bit more than what you would get with the Ram ProMaster, this is a great option.
Yeah.
But you're not going to get everything that you get in a Mercedes.
Something that's great about our brand and our products between Galleria, Beyond, and Nova, it doesn't matter if you walk into a Nova or a Galleria, you're going to get the same cabinet types, you're going to get the same options. Because the customer that needs a 24Q Mercedes is not the same customer that needs a 20RB ProMaster. So we want to make sure that you have all the same features, treated the same exact way. The difference is going to be in your chassis.
Yeah.
And a few of the options you can get on Mercedes that you can't get on other platforms, other two platforms.
And I could tell already, even though we haven't done a lot of driving, I at least feel that way just from like spinning it around a little bit here. I could tell the ProMaster really is the easiest, tightest. Are we good here? Yeah. This guy was coming along here. It's really the easiest to drive. To me.
This is Mercedes.
So I think the ProMaster still has the title of the easiest to drive, but this to me is easier to drive than the Mercedes.
Okay.
So I feel like because of the size and everything of the ProMaster and I can't get all-wheel drive, I'm actually happy with this, right? So, and this is not difficult, the ProMaster just has that little edge.
This is a great mix between those two platforms.
Yeah. So this, to me, I would say is easier to drive than the Mercedes, but the Mercedes is more comfortable. Has like it has that feeling. Whatever that magic is.
The seating,
Yeah.
space.
Yeah, the way that the
ride.
seats feel to you, yeah, all of that. The way that everything's translating is a little bit better in that. So I can't. How can I put it? I can put it to you this way. I think from driving the Mercedes is worth a little bit the extra money because you're getting more room, you're getting more comfort, you're getting the luxury of Mercedes for sure. I didn't really believe that until I drove it. But if you don't have that money, which I don't right now, this is great.
Yeah, and that's another reason we offer all three price points. Like, why don't you just all three chassis, so you can settle into 3 different price points. But
Yeah.
we can sell the same customer base with the same features.
Right. Excuse me, there's like a thing flying around here. By the way, this has the best pickup.
Oh yeah.
Look at that. I mean, I'm doing considerable speed,
And this isn't like the Mercedes where we just went over those bumps.
Yeah.
And in the ProMaster, we felt them going.
Yeah, in the Mercedes, it took it better than this.
Yes.
But this wasn't bad.
No, this
How do
was
you feel? Yeah.
still kind of guided, just glided over the top of this.
Yeah.
The Mercedes, it was like a cloud. We never felt it.
Yeah.
You knew it was here. You knew it was there in this platform, but
Yeah. In the ProMaster, we felt it. This has some good springs. The Mercedes really does have what it takes for that little extra. People ask me that all the time, but it's tough for me to answer because I never really drove it.
yeah. Would you option up the Mercedes?
Yeah.
That's usually a question
Yeah.
for you. Yeah, glad you guys were able to get out here and get your hands on all three and
Absolutely.
review all three for us. It always helps having somebody in the real life situation be able to
Yeah.
comment on this.
So I think that a lot of times people wonder if it's marketing. See, this gets up way faster than either one. And I think that the ProMaster had a good sound, but it was making a good sound but not moving. Look at this. This is going.
Yeah.
This is actually going, and I drive mine a lot like a car.
I really think this is something that you're going to get into. It's like a Suburban.
Yeah.
And it's something you're going to be very accustomed to.
And I have to say this, like the Mercedes is either rear-wheel drive or the 4x4. The thing with it being 4x4 that a lot of people don't think about is that 4x4 means it's more useful off-road, but you have to put it into 4x4 mode. So everyday driving, you're driving rear-wheel drive, right?
Unless you stop to go put it in.
Yeah, but in everyday driving like this, you're not going to put it in 4x4, okay? So here's the thing with all-wheel drive. It's always driving like this. And all-wheel drive gives you that feeling of more control. Because if up front is slipping or whatever, it's going to give up front more power. I think it's biased, obviously, to the rear. So it's really the best of both worlds when it comes to the driving experience. And it's what's giving me that what I feel is like the little bit extra confidence. And I could feel it now. That's why I saved this for the last. I wanted to see if when I drove those others, I felt that same confidence. And I'll be honest with you, I don't feel that. Even in the Mercedes, I didn't feel it as much as in this. It's just that little extra peppier and getting off because it's all-wheel drive versus that being rear-wheel drive, So that's definitely a thing. And one of the bonuses on this is because of the modes, you can actually force this to be more rear-wheel drive or rear-wheel drive if you wanted to.
Oh, while you're driving down the road?
Yes.
Okay.
If you play around with the modes. So it's got a bunch of modes here. I haven't done a lot of it, but I've looked at videos of people doing that. Are you going to say something?
Yeah, I was going to mention how the four-wheel drive customer on the Mercedes is usually somebody they're going to be out west and they're looking to get around, or out west or up north, and they're spending a lot of time outdoors. And you're right, that's exactly where that four-wheel drive customer goes to, and this all-wheel drive is going to be more for your everyday situation. If it rains, if it snows, or if you're going wherever, it's going to be more of an everyday vehicle than a four-wheel drive Mercedes.
So if folks are looking at this and they say, okay, Hank, so which one do you aspire? You already have one. If you could, would you get the Mercedes? I'm kind of torn. I really think that the Ford Transit, is the best platform that exists. And I think there's a couple of things that could be done to bring the Transit up. that maybe a little bit more luxury can be added to it, some other features. However, the Mercedes, I think, for having more room and more space in it, for having that extra luxury, I'm kind of torn. I'm really torn. Like, I'm gonna lose this all-wheel drive awesomeness that I really do enjoy if I go up to that, but I'm gonna gain some more space, some more luxury, more features. So I think the Transit has been around in Europe for a long time, since the 50s.
Okay.
And they just came to America in the last, what, like 5 years or something? 4 or 5 years. So to me, I think Transit has some growing to do, where it's gonna catch up even more with Mercedes. Or Mercedes is gonna wise up and make all-wheel drive.
So I think you're right. I think you hit the nail on the head with the Ford Transit. I think we're gonna see a lot more of it. I think we're gonna start seeing other manufacturers get into it as well. Where we really started to see it, or I first experienced it, was actually in the Class C industry. So I think, and it's grown into the B van industry. Nick was one of the first people to bring the Ford Transit chassis on here in the States, and Beyond.
I'm gonna let these ladies go.
As soon as he brought it in, Beyond took off. People loved it for this exact reason, just like you said. It's all-wheel drive. It gives you the comfortability of an everyday vehicle. It's something you can always hop in. It's going to be peppy. It's going to be you're going to be able to use this every day as an everyday vehicle for everyday situations. Where you go into a Mercedes, it's going to be a little bit different. Or your ProMaster, it's going to be you're using it for different situations.
I would say we're gonna wrap it up and have this conversation. But I would say that I'm kind of torn and I'm curious to see. I think competition is great. That's the thing about it, that I believe that when Ford was designing this, they spent a lot of time looking at what Mercedes is doing. And there are some things that Mercedes is still beating them at. But that competition is adding to things. And even on the ProMaster side, you know, we may see some benefits from that.
Yeah. Well, in a Mercedes, they don't isolate themselves, but they market themselves to a certain customer, a certain price point. And Ford, it's versatile. It's going to allow everybody to get into it.
Yeah.
It's at a price point where it's affordable. It's affordable to get into one.
This is probably the worst way to come. The worst route.
Usually, sometimes we'll go down to the light, but since we've done this for the last two, and we want to.
Yeah, we want to keep it as uniform as possible.
And you know what? It's lunchtime, so this is when it gets bad, is right now.
Yeah. But we've got time. Just got to be patient here. I'm really looking forward to see what this competition does, because up for a long time, from what I hear from everyone, it was just really two chassis out there, and they're giving us a chance here.
I think he is.
Yeah.
He is.
Yeah, it was really just two chassis, so...
It's a part truck turning into Naquins.
Yeah, so having those two chassis, I think, didn't push development as much as now there's three options. And just from what I see of the folks out there who know... Listen, I don't really know that much about this stuff, and I'm learning. That's why I appreciate you guys giving me this opportunity. It's amazing. I was trying to figure out how I was going to get a chance to do this.
Yeah, well, and like you said, it's not just... We try to treat everybody the same way. So not everybody is going to be able to come here and have the accessibility to jump in and take a test drive. That's not something we make accessible to everybody. But we do try to treat everybody, hey, come and check out the factory. Let's do a plant tour. Come and talk to your reps. Know as much as they possibly can. And I think that's what gives us one of our competitive edges. Is we are so accessible as a brand and to the people. When our retail customers, we talk to every single one.
Yeah.
So we know them personally.
I think that's a good thing for what you guys are doing. There may be some folks out there that can do things, perhaps, you know, if you would allow me to say this, maybe a little bit better. Maybe they can do they're doing things a little bit differently. But what I like about you guys is you're always watching, you're always observing. I see Nick taking notes on everything, and I'm sure you work with him, so you know better than I do.
He does. He listens. He genuinely listens. When you come in here and say, hey, I really think that this is... I've talked to a lot of customers, and I really think that this is something we need to look at. He's sitting there and he's listening to that, and he's taking it to heart, and he wants to be able to put that into our product somehow, some way. So he genuinely does listen when people talk, and If something's coming up over and over again, you can guarantee it's on his notepad and it's on his radar to watch.
Absolutely, and that goes a long way. So we're gonna pull in and we're gonna wrap this up outside. All right, Josh, thanks so much. I mean, it's really, as I said before, I've really wanted to do this, to get out and drive all 3 chassis, so I appreciate you taking time out of your day to do that with us. I think we've got everything covered here for folks. You guys heard us talking about each one, comparing them as we're doing it. I think the big thing that I would say to you all is tell us what you think. What's your experience? Have you tried them all out? Do you like this one over that one? Have you only tried one and that's the perfect one for you? Let us know. I would ask you, what would you say to folks out there who are looking at this and they're trying to figure out which one of these chassis do I go with?
Yeah, and like we said before, identify your needs. Figure out how many people you're going to take, where you're going, what you plan on doing with it. And if you have any questions, ask them.
Yeah.
Ask your dealer, and if your dealer, if they can't answer it, your dealer will usually reach out to one of us, and we'll give them the answer. And if that doesn't happen, feel free to reach out. Email us, call us. We're very accessible. All of our information's online. We also have a ton of Facebook groups from customers like yourself.
Right.
Go on there. There's a ton of reviews, a ton of information, lots of knowledge.
And don't forget, I think it's really important what you just mentioned, that your dealer will let you do this. So it's up to you.
Yeah.
Like if you just want to, everyone has a different style of doing it, right? Like I knew specifically what I was looking for, and until I found what I was looking for, I didn't do a test drive.
Yeah.
But I did do a test drive before I bought that vehicle. So I would say to folks out there, if you don't know what you're looking for specifically, drive them and see how you feel driving that, and then think about the features you want, both from the chassis and then from the setup inside in the interior of what you're looking for, right?
Agreed. Yep.
Yeah.
100%.
So when it comes to Coachmen here, I think that there's a lot of good things that you get from Coachmen. So we've already gone through that in previous videos. You're going to get a lot of the furniture and the build quality on the inside is going to be pretty much the same going from chassis to chassis.
Yeah. No, it will. It'll be the same exact going from chassis to chassis. Other than there's a few options that you can get on Beyond and on Galleria that you can't get on your ProMaster or even from Galleria going to Beyond. Other than that, everything's built the same exact. You're gonna walk in, you'll see the same handles, you'll see the same countertops, the same cabinets, same shower molds, same shower misers, same ACs. Everything's gonna be the same.
Yeah, and I'm gonna do this plug. I know Josh obviously will do a plug for Coachmen. He works for them. I don't work for Coachmen, but you guys do a lot, I think, to make Lola and I feel welcome. You help us out all the time. We really do appreciate it. And I would say this, my pitch for folks out there, because people ask me this, do you really think Coachmen's the way to go? I would say it's the way to go, because once you buy one of these vehicles, you're in the family.
Yeah.
You guys really feel that way. If you buy a trailer, if you buy a Class C, if you've got a big Class A, you're in the family.
Oh, absolutely. Once you buy something from Coachmen, you're part of the Coachmen family, especially for our division. You're part of our B-Van family until you don't want to have a B-Van from us.
Right. Oh,
and even after that point, you're still part of it.
Absolutely.
But if it weren't for interactions like we're having now with customers like yourselves, we wouldn't have a product that we have today.
Yeah.
So we appreciate you just as much as you appreciate us.
Absolutely, it's reciprocal, and I think that they're always working on developing and making these things better. And as we were talking about in the van, listening to the customers and what they want and what they need. And I know when I talk to people, folks out there are looking for something different. You have a different demographic. People like me, they're a little bit younger. Yeah. I'm an old dude, but there's younger folks getting into this, and still a lot of older people doing it that are looking for something different. And a lot of that stuff's coming in the future. There's been some stuff has slowed down because of these weird times.
Yes. So we are
we're in.
Yeah, we are still being affected by COVID. So it does hinder the innovation process a little bit. But we do have some stuff on the table, and so do the chassis manufacturers. Some of those things have been released, and some of them haven't. But we do have stuff here in the future. Probably not. You won't see it until late next year. But
it's coming.
We'll see some changes.
Yeah. And go ahead.
I was going to say a lot of those changes are what we call running changes.
Okay.
So we just make it as the production line goes. Instead of having it all one big dump, that way the product continually gets integrated and is in the process of our manufacturing process.
Right.
It gets integrated into our manufacturing process.
Yeah, so that's actually, that's pretty beneficial for the folks who've waited. And I'm seeing a lot of vehicles out there, and you guys are in production on everything inside the factory right now?
Yep, we're full production on everything. We just, as everybody knows, we've had a transit issue for the last 12 months, 9 to 12 months, and it's been a pain, it's been tough, and we appreciate those customers who've been waiting and their patience and their understanding, but we're getting them. We've got a ton this month of September, and hopefully we'll get through those retails that have been waiting for so long here by the end of the year.
Okay.
And, you'll start seeing some stock Beyonds come here and start landing on lots here within the next year, and things should be, we're hoping we're getting to that corner where we're getting ready to turn it. But
Cool. I know a lot of people on those lists. Josh, thanks so much. I'm not going to take up any more of your time.
Absolutely.
I appreciate it. Big thanks to Lola behind the camera for helping out today. I appreciate that as well, Lola. And I love you. Okay, no reaction from Lola on that. That's how it goes, man. I don't know if you realize that. But please, leave your comments, leave questions. We'll see if we can get Josh to answer some of those, or someone else from
absolutely.
Coachmen.
We'll get somebody to answer it, whether it's myself or somebody from our marketing department. Somebody will answer that.
Absolutely. All right, leave the comments. Make sure you smash the likes, thumbs ups, etc. Share, all of that, subscribe. We're out. Peace.